Hopefully, your day has been off to an awesome and great start, mainly because it couldn't be that way without you. And I just want to thank you once again just for being here, taking the time out of your busy schedules, your busy days, your busy lives, and spending a moment with me. So, once again, I just want to say thank you. Now, as I go ahead and continue, I want to talk about something I think that could be somewhat helpful to a lot of us. People go throughout their days and they're busy. Their time is consumed and they're busy. And there are just so many things going on because you are busy. But how about in the midst of just being so busy that you forget about you? You think about everyone else. You think about everything else, the many of things that you have to do, the many places that you have to be. But what about just that moment, that second in time, just for you? So I'll go ahead and get right into it. Now, here comes my first question. Have you ever found yourself just simply unable to focus? You're sitting at work, you may work in front of a computer, and as you're sitting there, you know what your job is. You do this job every day, but this particular day, you cannot get your mind wrapped around what you're doing. You're doing everything you can, and you need a cup of coffee. You're going outside, you're trying to get a fresh breath of fresh air, you're trying to walk around, but you simply just cannot focus. Um, but then there's also the point of, have you ever just felt more tired physically than normal? Now, have you just found yourself in a sense where you just break down for no reason, except for the simple fact that, how about you just might be stressed? Now, I know somebody probably thought right off the bat, hey, maybe this is going into depression. But I would honestly say that maybe the distress comes before the depression. However, let's keep it going. You find yourself falling asleep without warning. Not that sleep ever gives you a warning in the first place, but you know what I mean. You're nodding off, you're dozing off. You just simply cannot keep your head in that upright state. It's one of those things where people sometimes, they tell you be careful or you might get whiplash. Let me continue. Normally, you may have, even say for instance, a very good memory, but this particular day, your memory is not going that well. It's not doing well at all. Once again, you can't focus. You can't pay attention to even the details. You're not remembering the details. Things that you do on a normal basis, and they usually come quite easily to you. But this particular day, this particular time, it's happening. And the crazy part about it is it's not just this day. It's kind of probably been a thing that maybe you may have been dealing with for the past 2 or 3 days. Now you've got to deal with it because you're paying attention and you know that it's happening. But before we do really get deep into things, I want to take that moment and I would like for you to take that first breath with me. Let's go ahead and get started. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, if you answered yes to any of the questions that I probably answered there, then it's very much possible that you need a vacation. Now, I understand that vacation is not always the simplest thing in the world to do, to have, or even just to get. And sometimes you feel like you don't have the time. But guess what? You do have the time because you can't replace you. That is the one thing you have to think about in your life when you talk about how important it is. You can't replace yourself. That'd be strange, wouldn't it? So let me continue. This is the main reason I talk so much about balance. Because if you don't focus, you understand, if you can't focus on more than one area of your life, the scales easily become tilted. And when I said tilted, let's think of it as a simple scale. You've got work, you've got life, you've got family, you've got various other things or businesses that you're working on. However, if any one of those things in your life begins to get the greater attention, you understand, and the other ones lack, the scale is basically, it becomes tilted. It becomes unbalanced. And that's why I love to talk about three things that I will go into as we continue in this particular podcast. And hopefully they're of some help to you. One, I love to talk about mental health. That's one of the things I've talked about in my podcast is mentally, just how to strengthen your mind, how to redefine your mind, just even the way you think sometimes. Your emotions are another very important part, and fit your physical, your body as well. So let me go through each one of these and just discuss them with you. And let's do that now. So mentally, how can I tell if my mind is tired? You may not think that mentally you're fatigued or you're just tired, but how can you tell? In a simple way, I'm not going to try to go through the entire list because I guarantee there's so many, I probably would not know them all anyway. However, I'll talk on a few that I do, which is one, it takes you longer to do things that you normally do and, very quickly. However, it's becoming more difficult. You can't even make decisions. You can't finish what you're doing, and your focus keeps drifting away from what you're supposed to be working on. That's the mental challenge that you find. Then there is the emotional challenge also. You find yourself, say for instance, just breaking down. You find yourself, in tears maybe. You find yourself just for no true reason, and you feel just frazzled, and your cage, you feel like they say your cage has been rattled, and you have this anxiousness about yourself. Your heart might even be racing for no reason. And again, you're sitting there wondering why. But hold on. But then there's the physical aspect too. And what do I mean? Physically, you can find yourself feeling sluggish. You're feeling tired, physically just tired. You begin to breathe more shallow, and you're not taking full breaths. What happens when you take those shallow breaths? You understand? To me, it's like you're barely living. It's almost like being on life support. You're not even taking a full breath, and I think this is part of where the anxiety just kicks in even more. And all of this combined, it's like an avalanche. It's like let me keep on. So, in short, this is to get you to take a poll of you, to pay attention to your life, to pay attention to yourself. It is not a diagnosis or anything of that nature. It is just me saying you have to breathe every once in a while. Breathing is very important to me. That's why I encourage you to do it. Even as we get started into these podcasts, take that few seconds, take that deep breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why is it important? Because when we get caught up in things, we get to moving so fast that we don't think to do simple things. We're on autopilot. And when you're on autopilot, you forget about yourself. And this is what I want to get you back to doing, is not forgetting about yourself, but remembering yourself. And I know that there may be children. I may know that there may be a significant other. I know that there may be a job. This is the one thing you cannot do, or you cannot continue to do, is forget about you. Your health matters, whether it's mental health, whether it's emotional health, whether it's physical health, it matters. And when you begin to negate and neglect any of those, you risk putting yourself in jeopardy for not being able to function as you normally do. So, just to continue, what are some things that you can do? You have to begin to seek balance every day to better you. The more you practice it and the more you work on it, the more natural it gets and it becomes for you. But again, you have to do something, because if you're doing nothing, you can't have the expectation of results. So yes, you have to start somewhere. And it's not always easy. A lot of things are not easy. That's okay. But if you start, this is where it begins to get easy. Simply, if you start, this is where it begins to get easy. So if you need to stop, thinking for a few, find a quiet space. Listen to nothing. And this is something I think we take for granted. We have 5 senses. But the question is, if they're always on autopilot, you understand, when do we get the relief? They're always on autopilot. They're listening for a crying baby. They're listening for one of the children crying. They're listening for, your significant other calling you, or a phone ringing, or an alarm going off. And when they're always on autopilot, what happens when you take control? You understand? Even just for 5 seconds of your mind, if just for 5 seconds of your emotions, or for 5 seconds of just your body, doing nothing, say for instance, emotionally. You could, well, let me go mentally. You could just sit for 5 seconds, close your eyes and, think about just the pure satisfaction and the enjoyment of relaxing. Nothing going on right now. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not even thinking about this podcast, even though I'm doing it right now, but this is really just how relaxing that 5 seconds can be. And then to find yourself sliding over into something where, you deal with so much emotionally right now. You're pulled on by family, by friends, and so many things. You're almost a wreck and you just can't get through it. And you just take that moment right now just to say, you know what? It really doesn't matter. And as it doesn't matter, you begin to embrace just you, just having that moment of a second to yourself. And then also, not to leave out the point of just sitting there, allowing your body to rest. It's only 5 seconds. It may not seem like a lot, but it's better than nothing. So what I'm saying is that is not going to cover that vacation I was talking about, because you still need that vacation. But what I am saying is taking measures to ensure your health, whether it's mentally, whether it's emotionally, or whether it's physically, ensuring your health. Take a moment just for you. This is the one thing you can afford not to do, is to take time for you. And let me say this. First of all, we don't make time. Being that we don't make time, we manage time. So how about the importance of managing time just for yourself? Not always everyone else, but this time just for you. I'm going to leave us right there. But please don't forget, remember to take that time for you. And before we leave here today, let's do this. Let's take another breath once again. And please listen to this as many times as you need to focus on you and to think about something that you can do for yourself in those 5 seconds. Imagine if it was just 15, 5 seconds mentally, 5 seconds emotionally, and 5 seconds physically. Now, if you did that twice a day, that'd be 30. But either way, it all adds up. But what I am saying is, most importantly, in all the seriousness, you have to take time or manage time for you, because your day could not be awesome or great without you. Imagine your day without you. That doesn't make sense, right? So hopefully that in your listening to this, you've at least given thought to something to do a little bit more for yourself along the way. That balance, please never forget how important the balance in your life is. Sometimes we never sit and even think about the balance, like the many things that we're juggling. But think about it. Take a second and just seriously think about it. How much are you juggling? And if you're doing this and you have a partner, you have a significant other, you're married, whatever the case may be, sometimes it helps to spread, you understand, the weight of what goes around in the family. It's a conversation, it's a talk. And sometimes these talks don't want to be had, but they need to be had. Because what good is it if one of you just falls apart and break down? Also, share some of it with the children. It just doesn't have to be you sharing it with your partner, or even if you don't even have one, share it with the kids. Delegate a little bit. And this is the importance of, you as a family ensuring your longevity and just being able to get to enjoy one another. All right, people, this is my time. Once again, I'm about to get out of here, but please share this with someone. So hit the subscribe button before you leave. Tell a friend, don't be stingy and just keep it to yourself. But importantly, just before we get out of here, let's take that breath one more time. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.